Really interesting fight coming up this weekend. Top 5 women's strawweights in our co-main event. Yan Xiaonan taking on Carla Esparza. And Matt, is it future champ against former champ? That's probably how this is going to be billed, because for Yan Xiaonan, listen, friend of the show, Drake Riggs, we got to shout him out here now. He has been on the train for some time, and for her, she's been amazing in the UFC. If you look at the 5 on in, a win over Viviane Pereira, you got to have those wins. That was 2 years, 10 months ago. Beats Yuri Kondo, that's good. Beats Angela Hill, beats Karolina Kowalkiewicz, beats Claudia Gadelha. Those are some names near the end. For Carla Esparza, she was one of those fighters where, again, almost 3 years ago, loses to Tatiana Suarez, who we haven't seen in some time. Beats Vina Jandiroba, beats Alexa Grasso, beats Michelle Waterson, beats Marina Rodriguez. Listen, Waterson-Rodriguez, great fight we had recently. Rodriguez, future title challenger maybe. But Carla Esparza has been there and done that. And this was a fighter where 3 or 4 years ago, you and I were either talking into a mic or sitting there drinking pops, watching the fights, going, geez, well, she gets better at something every time. Like, you had to kind of grasp at straws at what Carla Esparza was doing well, because it was almost like the Randa Marcos plan of you win when you lose one. Like, where is Carla at this point? And now all of a sudden, legit title contender, like top 5 fighter in a huge fight against Yan Xiaonan. So I'm really eager to get your thoughts on this one. You got Yan Xiaonan, who's trained a little bit getting ready for this one at Team Alpha Male. Carla Esparza has been a Team Oyama fighter for quite some time. I love this matchup.
This is a really fun fight at the strawweight division. For Yan Xiaonan, she's kind of on one of those like Kelvin Gastelum Legends runs at strawweight, because look at the names you brought up. Angela Hill, former Invicta champion. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I know she's still kind of in and around the MMA world, but still, I would say a one-time great strawweight. And Claudia Gadelha, again, one of the original OGs of this weight division. If Yan Xiaonan could go out there and then beat Carla Esparza, you've basically beaten all of the great fighters who came before you, other than Joanna Jędrzejczyk at that point. And yes, she still has the Rose Namajunas, the Whaleys, and if Jessica Andrade ever comes back, but like, you've done a lot of the heavy lifting already if we do think Yan Xiaonan is eventually going to become champ. You've already beaten those fighters who have kind of laid the foundation just really for the whole weight class. It's just been a really impressive run that Yan Xiaonan's been able to go on. And it's not like she's going out there and just beating other fighters. She's not going out there beating Mackenzie Dern, like another fellow rising star. It has been the fact that she's going out there and beating fighters who kind of all have bigger names than she has. And then it's after the fight, it's like, wow, remember what she just did to Angela Hill? And then, wow, remember what she just did to Claudia Gadelha? And the thing I like about Yan Xiaonan is she is just so well-rounded at the end of the day. Because when I think about Claudia, yeah, her striking's kind of bad, but her ground game's amazing. With Karolina, it's kind of the opposite. She's a great striker, but her ground game's not great. And then with Angela Hill, just kind of good at everything. Yan Xiaonan was able to go in there and not only beat all those fighters at where they're the strongest, she was able to really reverse it and force them to become uncomfortable at the areas that they aren't good at. And that's what's really impressive about Yan Xiaonan. Normally, we don't speak about those qualities in a fighter until they have the belt or they've been fighting top 5 fighters for a very long time. But the fact that we saw all these qualities from her, even on her way up into the rankings, is really exciting. And the fact that finally we get Yan Xiaonan against, I'll say, still one of those legends, but I would say Carla Esparza has a lot more tread left on the tires than maybe some of those other legends that she has in kind of her wake. So that's what makes this fight really fun. Can the former champion kind of keep her place in the division and say, hey, I might be the former champion, but I could still be future champion? Or can Yan Xiaonan say, like, hey, there's more than one Chinese fighter in this division, and I can go out there and really prove that I'm not like Weili. I can be the next evolution. And that's why this fight is just so exciting.
And I mean, you look at it in terms of numbers, metrics, holy smokes. I mean, for Yan Xiaonan, the strikes landed per minute, huge differential in the positive. For Carla, it's a slight negative. You also like to see the takedown defense from Yan Xiaonan, 75% accuracy. You think the move to Team Alpha Male probably going to help out with that a little bit. But again, we've seen these impressive performances from Yan Xiaonan. From Carla Esparza, they've always been close, and that's the thing. The Marina Rodriguez fight, you win by split. You beat Waterson by split. You beat Alexa Grasso by majority decision. You beat Vina Jandiroba. That's cool. I think back to her fight against Claudia Gadelha, the one that was in, where was it, Chicago? That was back at UFC 225, where the fans booed because they thought that Carla won. I thought she won. Claudia got it. She beat Cynthia Calvillo before that. She beat the...
That was 4 years ago, though.
Yeah, now we're starting to grasp it. She beat the great volume striker, Marina Moroz, before that. But that's the thing. Carla Esparza, been there and done that in the division. She's continued to progress. I like her game, but the tricky thing is she's one of those fighters that's going to almost strike to clinch to take you down, work from full guard, maybe go to side, then she's going to try and land some stuff. Like, it's just really tricky for me to see a path to victory for Carla Esparza to beat Yan Xiaonan. It is tough.
Well, the path to victory is going to have to be wrestling, and it's something against Carla Esparza. Like you had said, she has definitely improved even after she lost the belt, but she's not improving as like, oh wow, now Carla Esparza works behind the jab and throws kicks. She's just kind of become more Carla Esparza-y as her career's progressed. She's gotten better at some of the weird little areas, kind of the in-betweens, if you will. She has gotten a lot better, like you said, at striking into the clinch, but it's not like her striking itself has improved that much, and that's what I worry about with Carla Esparza. All of her wins, at least all of her recent wins, they still come by way of that wrestling. And the one thing that sucks for Carla Esparza, and this is unfair, and this is something that I put on her, I can't get that excited about Carla Esparza going to fight for the title when I know there's a better version of Carla Esparza who's only sidelined due to injury right now. Tatiana Suarez does everything Carla Esparza does. She just does it way better. And it's not like this is some hot take for me. I saw those two fight, and Tatiana Suarez did everything that Carla Esparza does to other people, but to herself. And the other thing about Suarez is, when she takes you down, she finishes you. She has ground and pound, she has chokes. Carla Esparza is more of that, oh, I'll take you down, I'll kind of lay in some positions. I'll get work done, don't get me wrong. It's not like the refs are standing her up a lot, but she's not going out there really searching for the finish. And in this fight against Yan Xiaonan, if it's on the feet, I'm a little worried about Carla. She does have very rudimentary striking, and unless she is able to just rush in with those flurries to try to clinch her way into a takedown, I just don't see her winning a lot of moments on the feet. And if you looked at Carla Esparza's recent few opponents, Marina Rodriguez wasn't really able to unload her strikes because she was worried about the takedown. And when she did let her hands go, she was landing a lot. Really, all of the opponents of Carla Esparza have been able to land on her. The only question has come down to their own takedown defense. But with Yan Xiaonan, I think her movement on the feet and her takedown defense are going to be good enough to force this fight into a striking battle. And at the end of the day, it's really hard to say Carla Esparza is going to beat Yan in a 15-minute striking fight.
When we look at the odds for this one, Yan Xiaonan open a minus 180 favorite. She's now minus 125. Carla Esparza open a plus 155. She's around a plus 100. So those odds are closing in. If we have a look at the total Tapology votes, 1,114 of them, 78% going with Yan Xiaonan to win, 92% by decision for the 22% that have Esparza, 86% by decision. So the safe pick, most likely the fight goes to decision. And I bet you that line, because we don't have it yet, is probably somewhere around a minus 300. It's going to be fairly heavily weighted that way. Let's actually look at it. Minus 333 on some sites, minus 325. So yeah, heavily favored to go to decision. I like Yan Xiaonan in this one. If you can stick and move, if you can work in your striking, your volume, you maybe not the kicks, and if you can defend enough of the initial takedowns, you're golden. So yeah, I do like Yan Xiaonan in this fight.
No, I couldn't agree more. With Carla Esparza, I still think there's a place for her in this division, and I do think she's a great litmus test for really any young contender that you have, I guess, title hopes for. But I do think Yan Xiaonan is going to be the fighter to get over this hump.
Matt, both of us going with Yan Xiaonan to get the win. Can't wait for our main event. Rafael taking on Cody Garbrandt. So if you missed it, check it out. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. Those are the same thing. So go check it out. Keep locked in with Fight Night Picks. As we always say, let's get into it.